pair of sneakers once sold for more than a luxury car. Another pair crossed the $1 million mark. They're just shoes, canvas, rubber, leather, and laces. So why are people willing to pay fortunes for them? In today's world, sneakers have become a multi-billion-dollar obsession. What turned humble canvas and rubber into coveted treasures? Sneakers aren't just footwear anymore. They are culture, currency, even art. From New York to Tokyo, collectors scramble for limited editions, and news headlines celebrate record-breaking auction prices. This global sneaker economy matters because it reveals how something as ordinary as a shoe can impact fashion, finance, and our very sense of identity. In this documentary, we'll briefly trace the extraordinary journey of sneakers, from humble gym gear to million-dollar status symbols, but more importantly, we'll uncover the emotions, memories, and psychology that make people chase them so intensely. Decades ago, on a Bronx basketball court, having clean kicks meant respect. In fact, in the 1970s, there was a street game called Stepsies. If someone had a fresh pair, others would step on them to shame the owner. A pristine pair signaled you were soft, but as hip-hop emerged, the rules flipped. Suddenly, clean, fresh-looking shoes became priceless. At the same time, a sneaker revolution began on the court. In 1984, a young Michael Jordan signed with Nike. By 1985, Nike unleashed the Air Jordan 1, a bold black and red shoe that broke NBA rules but stole parts. Nike even paid the fines for every time MJ wore them. That gamble paid off wildly. Kids lined up for blocks to get the game-worn colors. As MJ soared in the air, so did the Air Jordan's fame. But the real power was not just the shoe itself. It was what the shoe made people feel. Confidence, rebellion, belonging, and the dream of being connected to greatness. Back on the streets of New York, something similar happened with hip-hop culture. In 1986, the rap group Run DMC proclaimed their love for their iconic Adidas shoes with a hit song, turning sneakers into symbols of pride. Even rock stars and skaters embraced them. Kurt Cobain made beaten-up Converse a rebellion badge, and skateboarders made Vans a style staple. Suddenly, sneakers were everywhere, on the court, in music videos, and on kids' feet around the world. What began as practical sportswear had transformed into a cultural badge. This is where sneakers stopped being simple products and became personal statements. A person's shoes could say where they came from, what music they loved, who they admired, and how they wanted the world to see them. In the 2000s, brands realized this wasn't a fad. It was an opportunity. They started dropping shoes in tiny batches, teasing designs in secret. Each limited release became a mini Hollywood, countdowns on social media, invite-only raffles, and midnight queues. When a coveted design finally appeared, say a music star collaboration or a remastered classic, it sold out instantly. Then the real spectacle began. Resellers would mark up those shoes for hundreds or thousands more. What was once a $150 retail shoe turned into a golden ticket. For example, the first Nike SB Dunk Tiffany from a skate collab in 2005 now fetches many times its original price on the resale market. Collectors felt that thrill of being in the club, and soon sneakers had their own marketplaces. Today, the narrative spans continents. An app in Los Angeles shows the latest drop. In London, a fan swaps his pair online. In Hong Kong, an auction house shouts the winning bid. Platforms like StockX and GOAT let anyone trade kicks like stocks, matching buyers and sellers worldwide. Michael Jordan's game-worn sneakers regularly hit auction blocks, fetching as much as fine art. In one famous case, a pair of 1985 Air Jordan 1s sold for six figures. The sneaker story had become global history and high finance. It turns out our decisions here are less about feet and more about feelings. One big factor is scarcity. Brands deliberately limit supply, special editions, surprise drops, a few colorways worldwide. When something's hard to get, our brains assume it must be worth more. We hate missing out. A flicker of doubt. What if these never come back? Sends adrenaline rushing. Retailers stoke this. Countdown clocks, lottery raffles, secret launch clues. We tune in like it's a sporting event. When a drop happens and seconds later, sold out flashes on everyone's screen. Those lucky enough to buy celebrate like winning a lottery. Those who missed out feel pangs of envy and anxiety. This is the classic fear of missing out, or FOMO. It's the same rush that makes us click buy on flash sales or camp out for concert tickets. Social psychology adds fuel. When friends or influencers post their new kicks online, we crave the same validation. A pair of exclusive sneakers is like a membership card to an elite club. Wearing a rare Jordan or a co-branded Adidas is a social signal. It says, I know the culture, I was lucky or fast enough to get here. It's pure status and identity wrapped in laces. For many collectors, these shoes are trophies. They show them off at parties, in photos, in forums, proof they belong to something bigger than themselves. One memorable real-life example is sneaker collector Mark Mayer Farisi. Growing up in the Bronx, sneakers were not just fashion to him, they were tied to respect, confidence, and belonging. Over time, what started as a personal passion grew into a massive collection of thousands of pairs. But the emotional core of his story is simple. For many sneakerheads, collecting is not only about owning shoes, it is about healing an old memory, proving something to yourself, and holding on to the version of you that once dreamed of having that one perfect pair. Then there's nostalgia. Sneakers carry memories. A reissue of a 90s classic doesn't just sell a design, it sells childhood dreams. Imagine a man in his 40s spotting the very shoe he begged his mum to buy decades ago. He feels 15 again. Brands capitalize on this by retro-releasing old favorites. That warm sense of back in the day bonds us to the product. In fact, researchers have found that many sneakerheads started collecting because of idols like Michael Jordan and Run DMC. The history becomes personal history. Wearing the Jordan 1 is a way of saying, I am part of MJ's story. It ties our present to the past, turning footwear into an emotional time machine. All these threads weave into economic behavior. Sneaker markets mirror the stock market in many ways. People treat hot releases as investments, buy low at retail, sell high on platforms. On sites like StockX, you can watch real-time bid and ask prices for each model. Some collectors got rich. A pair they bought for $200 retails for $2,000 a year later. Entire side hustles formed around flipping rare sneakers. It became so profitable that sneaker research showed Air Jordans and Nikes dominated resale market share, over 70% in 2020. During the pandemic lockdown, sneaker trading even had a moment like cryptos. More people were home online, auctions and forums lit up. As complex sneakers gained value like alternative assets, some parts of the sneaker market boomed until, as some warned, it started to calm down by 2023. The story of the sneaker economy ultimately teaches us something deeper about human behavior. We're seeing firsthand that value is often just what our minds agree it is. These shoes aren't special because of how they're made. They're special because of the stories and feelings we attach to them. A pair of tennis shoes didn't change physically to be worth thousands. Our desire did. In a way, sneakers have become a mirror reflecting the currents of our culture, the need to belong, to capture a moment, to feel unique. Economics textbooks might call it supply and demand, but what's really at play is psychology, loss aversion, envy, nostalgia, and pride. We follow emotional cues and social proof more than pure reason. Brands and resellers know this instinctively. They feed it, in turn fueling the frenzy. At the end of the day, the sneaker craze is as much about people as it is about shoes. Behind every sold-out sign is a person's fear of regret, their longing for community, or a child's idol fulfilled. And every price tag, whether $50 or $50,000, is written not just in dollars, but in the hopes and stories we carry. So the next time you're tempted by the latest drop or marvel at a collector's shrine of shoes, ask yourself, what am I really chasing? Is it just a pair of sneakers or something bigger? Status, identity, a bridge to the past? In our sneaker saga, the real question isn't how much these shoes are worth, but what we give to own them. After all, if a simple shoe can hold so much meaning, what does that say about our own journey?